Welcome to the 2020 New Testament Challenge. Today we are in chapter 11 of Hebrews. Chapter 11 is the faith chapter, and it lists those that are in God's Hall of Fame. In verse 1, this is what we read. Now faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. That's a great definition of faith. Let's break it down. Now faith that means that it's active. It's happening now. It's not past tense, but it's present tense and it's in the future. Future, because then it also says, sure of what we hope for, that something is going to happen. Now, if it's already happened, we don't need faith for that. But faith is being sure of what we hope for, what's going to happen in the future. God is going to come through, that God is going to keep his word. And we are certain of what we do not see. Someone once said, seeing isn't believing, but believing is seeing. Belief, faith, that opens the door for the supernatural, for the miraculous, for pleasing God. In verse 16, we read that without faith, it's impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he is an earnest rewarder of those who seek him. Here in this verse, we understand that there's two things that make up faith. First, that we come to God. We come to him because we know that he is present. We know that he is on the throne, that he is God our Father. We come to him believing that he is there. But then we come believing that he is also able to keep his word and able to reward those who seek him earnestly, who are seeking, asking him for help. God responds to faith. Now, faith does not eliminate problems, but faith releases God's power into our problems. The listing of those here in chapter 11 are those that walked by faith. In verse 30, we read that the walls of Jericho fell for the people as they marched around the city of Jericho for 7 days. They believed God and they obeyed him. They listened to God and did what he said. What would have happened if they would have stopped at 6? A miracle would not have happened, but they walked by faith. In verse 31, Rahab hid the spies, and she put a red rope, a scarlet cord, in her window. She believed what she was told. She believed and trusted their word, just as we need to believe and trust that God is faithful to his word. Rahab walked by faith. In verse 32, we read about Gideon. Gideon believed God despite his circumstances. We read about Barak. He didn't care who got the credit. He didn't care who got the glory, but he was walking by faith. Jephthah, he forgave and fought for people that had done him wrong, and he prayed for them. He lived by faith, believing that God was going to take care of him no matter what people did. And Samson, he believed God for a second chance. I love the story of Thomas Edison. He worked for years trying to come up with the incandescent light bulb. Finally, after thousands of tries, he was successful. They were making their prototype that they were going to present to the public. The team and Thomas Edison worked 24 hours straight, and they developed that prototype that they were going to make public. They needed to move it from one location to another. So what did Thomas Edison do? He gave it to a boy to carry. Well, the boy stumbled, fell, and that light bulb hit the floor and broke into pieces. Well, Thomas Edison and his crew worked another 24 hours and crafted another prototype of the incandescent light bulb. What did Thomas Edison do? He gave it back to that same boy. This time, the boy did not drop the light bulb. Faith changes our lives. Faith changes other people's lives. And faith enables us to experience God's power and his pleasure. Thank you for joining the 2020 New Testament Challenge.